Burglar is once again open with another look at the next update. The Secret of U43 Beta number 4 is now live, and in the patch notes there's not really much new, but we have some news about class changes coming up, so I definitely wanted to make a video about this. Just looking at the patch notes themselves real quick, there's not much from Beta 4. Something about the Forester event, Guardian's Hammer bonus, some flanked strike bonus, 6 for Lore Master, and there's some quest fixes down here at the bottom. Nothing big, nothing that I really care to look at. If we look at Wing 3 of the new raid, Inner Sanctum, you can see there's quite a lot new corrections to the raid. I've tried this wing on tier 2 in the raid and it was quite clear that it wasn't finished and it was far from hard enough. To be fair, it's only tier 2, not tier 3, so until we get a look at tier 3, we don't really know. But looking through this, I'm not going to go through everything, but you can look, you can read for yourself. But there's basically, they made it a lot harder and fixed a lot of things. So hopefully the Wing 3 of the new raid is better in this version of beta. When it comes to a release date of this update, we are now on beta 4. And I would say typically we don't get more than 4 betas. I don't think I've seen a beta 5, maybe once or twice. I feel quite confident that this will release next week. If we look at the current date, we are now on February 18th. And that means that next week will be the last week of February. And if we look at the pre-order expansions, looking at the fine print at the bottom, they said that the expansion releases November 6th, with the raid content no later than February 2025. This means that we should be getting the raid this month, and I'm pretty sure that we're looking at a release sometime next week. Typically Wednesday or Thursday is when they do releases. Most likely Wednesday or maybe even Tuesday, never know. But I feel quite confident that update 43 will release next week. So the thing I really want to talk about is the class changes that we are getting. They're not currently in the Burglar update, but if you look at this Discord post that Onum posted, he posted both in the official Discord and in the Ghynverse. He posted some changes to some of the classes that are not in Burglar, but hopefully will go in later. And he's also looking for feedback, so if people want to give feedback to these changes, do go on to the official LOTRO Discord or to the Ghynverse and give feedback, what you think should be changed or not. But we're going to go through the changes that we received. The first change is for the Burglar. As you can see from the top, Backstab's potency has been reduced and now grants 7.5% positional damage at max rank. And to compensate for this nerf, Burglar damage overall has been increased by 7.5. And if you're wondering what Backstab is, you can look at the middle of the trait tree. Backstab is a Burg trait that increases your positional damage, and currently it deals 15% at max rank. This has now been nerfed down to 7.5. This is a really good change and a good change towards what most people want. They want positional damage gone from the game. But as we know, it's not so easy just to make simple changes to a game. So this is a step in the right direction. Burgs now rely less on their positional and just get more damage overall. Really good change for Burglar. Hopefully in the future this can be totally gone or reworked. But for now, it's a good change. For Captain, he posted a fix to a set bonus. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but you can read it on the screen right now. The next class we're going to look at is the Champion class, and more specifically, Deep Strikes. So the way Deep Strikes works is when you use your strike skills, which is your single target attacks, such as a Devastating Strike, a Brutal Strike, a Remorseless Strike, etc., etc. Whenever you use skills like that, they will apply Deep Strikes, and as you can see, they do have initial hits, meaning that if you spam a lot of strike skills, you get a lot of free damage from this Deep Strike initial. There's also a bleed attached to Deep Strikes, but your main damage is of course always from the initial skills, since you're spamming strike skills so quickly. So Deep Strikes does receive a nerf, as you can read from the top. the bleed will no longer deal an initial damage. So the initial damage from this will be gone, and instead it's just a bleed over time. So the Deep Strike's initial is gone, but as you can read from the top, there will be partial pulse damage every time a new application of Deep Strikes overwrites an existing instance of it on your target, which basically means that every time you use a strike skill, it will then do partial pulse damage, not full pulse, like you can see the pulse damage, 1600 damage. I don't know exactly what the numbers are going to be. It's not going to be as strong, but whenever you refresh your bleed, if I'm reading this correctly, you will then get a partial pulse damage hit, which will be a bit lower than what the pulse is at full strength. And Deep Strike's damage also gets reduced by 5%. We'll see where the champ lands. I think champ is in a pretty good spot right now, and if you're gonna nerf something of champ, I think this was a good choice. We'll see where the champ lands. The next class to look at is the Hunter class, receiving another damage buff, which, let's be honest, they probably need it. Hunter all damage increased by 3%. So that's on top of the already 5% increase we got from previous betas, meaning that Hunter damage will be increased by 8% in total. Rain of Arrows damage is increased by 10%, which I do think was needed. Swift Bow damage gets increased by 5%. And just like the champion Deep Strikes, please applied by Barbed Arrow and Pen Shot. Pen Shot with your set bonus has a bleed on it. So same thing as the champion, when you refresh these bleeds, say they're like 1 second away from ticking, then you refresh them, instead of like losing that tick that was going to happen in 1 second, you then get a partial pulse instead. So yeah, if you refresh your bleed before it runs out, you won't get the full damage of the bleed that was going to happen, but you will get some part of this damage applied once you refresh your bleed. So good changes in my opinion. Hunters do need some help, and it will be interesting to see where they land with this 8% buff and all the buff to the other skills that they're getting, as well as the partial hits when refreshing your bleeds. Hopefully we see this partial pulses for every bleed in the game, because it's kind of annoying refreshing a bleed and not getting the full damage. But in any case, good changes for the Hunter class in my opinion. They might need more, they might be fine, we'll see. But it's good that they're buffing the Hunter and also looking for feedback, and hopefully we can get the Hunter be back amongst the top DPS for single target. The next class is the Lore Master, and more specifically Nature's Fury. And what exactly is happening to this skill? The buff is getting nerfed. Nature's Fury critical chance buff from 10% down to 5%, and all the elemental damage buffs from 30 to 15%. And although I haven't played Lore Master myself, I haven't played Red, like the new reworked Lore Master, from what I've seen from other Lore Masters, Nature's Fury doing burst windows is so much stronger than any other class, and just having Nature's Fury is, let's just call it overpowered for now, and I think it definitely needed a nerf, and it'll be interesting to see what happens to the Lore Master with this nerf to this buff. I don't see how it would nerf it too much. Of course it's gonna go down slightly, but the Red Lore Master has definitely been a little bit too strong in my opinion. So another good change, a nerf to the Lore Master's Nature's Fury buff, but it's definitely needed. The Mariner class seems kind of a same change as the Burglar when it comes to positional, another good change in my opinion. And the change is to the trait at the top right of Red, a Duelist's Honor, giving you positional damage from the front. And unlike the Burg, who actually gets it from standing behind, this has been changed down to 7.5, just like the Burg. So this will be 7.5% at max rank, and to compensate, Mariner just gets 7.5% damage buff overall to the whole class. And Onum did say in his post that maybe this compensation buff, 7.5, should only be for Red Line, which I probably agree with. Blue Line already saw like a nerf that wasn't put in the patch notes yet. The Blue Line got nerfed by 10%, which it probably needed, and Red Line needs to be Let's just say red line needs to be way better compared to blue for red Mariner to be viable. And yellow Mariner, you know, it's just a debuffing line, doesn't need much damage. But I do think this Mariner damage should stay in red line only. But another step towards removing positional, which a lot of people want. It's really annoying for the classes who rely on the positional damage. So hopefully in the future we'll see positional completely gone from the game. But Mariner, Duelist Honor nerfed to 7.5% at max range. And to compensate, Mariner gets the damage to the whole class. But maybe it'll just be for red line, making blue line and yellow line deal a little bit less than red line as it should. And the last change is to the Minstrel class. Several healing skills can now target NPCs, including Triumphant Spirit, Perfect Ending, Code of Resonance, and Major Ballad Resonance. And this change is, you know, in the next raid we're going to have to heal Legolas in one of the fights, and some of the Minstrel skills could not target Legolas, and this fix, let's call it a fix, is in direct response to that. So these skills can now target NPCs. Rune-Keeper also gets a slight nerf, probably warranted as well. The volcanic runestone damage got nerfed by about 10%. And seeing as how like Rune-Keeper's even single target damage, it's like the third highest, second highest, third highest skill every time, it definitely could see a nerf, and a slight nerf to Rune-Keeper, who is probably overperforming a little bit. If you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a like and subscribing, as it really helps out the channel. And if you like LOTRO, I would really recommend joining my Discord servers. You can also support me directly through my Ko-fi website. If you're playing or looking to play Lord of the Rings online, there is one place you need to be. The Ghyniverse is a Discord server created for the community of the players of Lord of the Rings Online. The server is getting close to 7,000 members, and in this server you'll find tons of helpful information. There's monthly giveaways, easy access to patch notes, you can keep up with my YouTube videos, my streams. If you're a streamer, you can ask for the streamer role and you can announce your streams in the other stream channel. There are discussion channels for pretty much everything, every class, monster players. But the best thing about this server is probably the Gearing Resources tab, where you can find anything from trait lines for every class, every build. There are stat goals, where you can find out what stats you should aim for on your characters. Really helpful information about drop rates from instances, as well as screenshot from all the new loot that appears in the game. If you enjoy LOTRO, you should definitely consider joining this server, and hopefully I'll see you in Middle-earth. If you were part of the Ghyniverse already, you might have noticed that another tab appeared at the top, the LFF server. This server is a brand new server that I created, the LFF Ghyniverse. In this server, you can select which servers you want to keep up with, and once you select your server, say you select Arkenstone, you will see the LFF, the kinship advertisement, looking for kinship and trade channels, and there's also voice channels if people want to use those. The LFF channel is basically a looking for fellowship channel where people can post if they need players for the runs, and this way people don't have to be logged into the game to see the chat, they can just instead get a notification on their Discord. There's also a kinship advertisement page where kins can post their kinship advertisement and have people join their kins. And you can also post in the looking for kinship chat if you're looking for a kinship, but make sure to take a look in the kinship advertisement first and look through all the kin to find a suitable kin for you. There's also a trade channel if people want to buy or sell stuff that you can use. Hopefully you'll consider joining this server to bring the community even more together, not just in the game, but also outside of the game.